So if she can't hear me, maybe if somebody could tell her or let her know to log out and log back in. Yeah, have her do that. So this slide seems apropos to college work, holding down a full-time job, raising kids. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. So tell me what some of you, what your main goal is. What one thing do you want to accomplish during your lifetime? Great career, okay. Anybody else have a major goal? Have something on their bucket list? Oh, good for you, Pamela. You want to use real hair for that? Good for you. Anybody else have a goal they want to share? All right. So let's go ahead and move forward. Getting started in. Okay, getting your children raised. That's a really good goal to have. Okay, so week 3, we're halfway through. Just 2 more weeks to go. How are you finding the material? How are you liking HR? Are you learning anything? Okay. Yeah, a ton of reading. Okay, good. Well, I hope you're learning more than a little, but not too much that you will forget it. It's the thing about human resources is like everything else. The more you practice it, the more comfortable you are with what it's about. So, all right. So just a couple reminders from week 2 live lecture. You remember that we discussed companies acquiring and maintaining the competitive advantage by, of course, hiring the best talent, developing effective training programs, and creating successful retention programs. So that is from week 2, which is going to allow us, or be a good segue into this next chapter. Hello, Michaela. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about recruiting, selecting, training, and development. And this is my area of expertise in the human resources field. I've been doing this for, oh man, more years than I care to count. So recruiting is the process of finding qualified candidates who are interested in working for an organization. And the goals in recruiting are a two-way street. We've got organizational goals, and the prospective employee has his or her own goals as well. So organizational goals, to attract a pool of qualified applicants, to keep the pool at a manageable size, and to provide realistic job previews. On the other side of that, the prospective employee, they want financial income, they want job security, they want to be promoted or have the opportunity, they want benefits and a challenging work assignments. So it's a two-way street. Michaela, can you hear me? Because last week we didn't have any feedback from you at all. Michaela. All right. So where are we going to look for our people? Internally, we're going to look inside the organization for existing qualified employees, and that's especially important if we want to promote somebody. We're going to post internally. I post all of my openings internally on the bulletin board. Plus, our employees have access to our job board. And we also recruit internally through or with supervisory recommendations. The advantages to internal, if somebody knows that they have the opportunity to be promoted into a position, it's really going to increase motivation, and it sustains knowledge in the culture. So if we're not bringing in new people that have to learn everything from scratch, we've got people that already know our procedures and processes. So, but that could also be a disadvantage. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to, I do not know how to help her with that. Does anybody, I'm trying to think. I hope she doesn't have her mute on. Okay, so the disadvantages, you know, it's going to foster stagnation. If we don't inject new blood into the workforce, then we tend to get stagnant. And it may cause a ripple effect. Every time an employee is promoted, then that opens up another position that we've got to fill. So the advantages can also be our disadvantages. We're going to look externally too, which is typically what you hear or when you see job advertisements, postings on job boards, that type of thing. So looking to sources outside the organization, we've got word of mouth. Like some companies have referral bonus programs, referring employee. Our referral bonus program is if an employee refers a good long-term employee to us, once that new employee's worked 6 months, they get $500. So that's a pretty good referral bonus. Let's see, advertisements, employment agencies, you get your temp services out there, college placement offices, and electronic recruiting. I'm sorry, guys, I'm seem distracted because we've got some issues over here technically, and I don't think that there's much I can do on my end about it. So, okay, so the advantages to looking externally, it brings in new ideas, and it avoids that ripple effect that we saw over here under internal. Disadvantages, if we don't promote people from within, then it hurts motivation. And it costs a heck of a lot more to advertise and to go externally. I know I quit advertising in the Tulsa world because of the price of ads was ridiculous, and I wasn't getting any responses at all to our ads. So it just did not make sense to do it anymore. We also do realistic job previews. I do realistic job previews. Once I have gotten an applicant and I've done a telephone screen and I've done a face-to-face screen with him or her, once they pass muster on those 2 steps, then what I do is get them back into the facility with the supervisor out on the shop floor for a while. And the reason I do that is because our jobs at my facility are very hard. And it's not the best work environment. It's very dirty, it's cold, or it's hot, depending on the time of year. So it allows an applicant to take a look and see what we're really doing out there. So the benefits of that is, applicants, once they go out there on the shop floor and they see what we're doing, then they may withdraw their name from the process if they don't like what they see. Those not deterred may choose to move forward with the process. New employees who receive those realistic job previews have a higher rate of job survival, and new employees report being more satisfied and having more trust. And there's a direct correlation to realistic job previews and higher performance, lower turnover. Has anybody ever had a realistic job preview before, where you're actually taken into the work environment? Okay. Can you see how it might be advantageous to those industries that might be tougher? Okay. All right. So it helps paint a realistic picture of what the job entails. And I never am one to gloss over or sugarcoat what we expect or the unpleasant aspects of the job, because I don't think it does me a service at all to do that, and I don't feel that it would be honest to the applicant. So, and they can do that through observation, which is what I do, videotapes, and then we can give them a job description as well. But I like some job descriptions are just too vague. So selection process. This is pretty typical, pretty standard. Applicants, okay, we get an application in, or any company gets an application in. If they're unqualified, then we don't do anything else. But if after screening they're qualified, then we move on to any kind of employment screening or test. Like I give a math evaluation. If they perform poorly, then we don't move forward. But if they meet our criteria, then we move forward with an interview. And that interview typically is with me first. If they make a good impression on me, then they move forward. If they don't, then I don't get them in front of the supervisor. Then I do references, and I'm looking for positive feedback. If I get one that has negative feedback, then I'll get another two, just to see if there's any kind of trend in the reference. Selection, and then we do conditional job offer, and if they accept it, then we start off with the post-offer screening. We do the background, drug test, and the physical as well, and then we take them to onboarding. So this is a standard process. How many of you have gone through it in the entire process like this? Did you ever take any kind of assessments or tests or anything? Have any of you ever taken a personality assessment or any kind of a behavioral assessment? Okay. Target has those? I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah, we do too. And they've got a score, minimum score per hour. It's an assessment. And we assess safety, responsibility, energy, that type of thing. If they score below a 30 on that, then I don't move forward with them. So here's some basic selection criteria that people look at. Of course, education, experience, skills, abilities, personal characteristics, and fit. Education, because that's part of your discussion. Don't forget too that a lot of you guys, because you're in college, you use that to answer that. In the past, students have used the college education to answer questions, but you know, I challenge you to remember that a high school education is just as important. There are many companies out there that if you don't have a high school education, if you haven't finished it, they're not going to hire you. So just keep that in mind when we're talking education. We're also talking about high school education. Some of the techniques companies use: applications, background checks, employment tests. We talked about this. Some employment tests measure cognitive abilities, math, psychomotor, personality, integrity. Have any of you ever taken a software test? No? Really? How about typing or data entry? Paola, did you have to do any of that for the ASVAB? Okay. Then we've got work simulation and personal interviews. A long time ago. All right, so you guys should be able to define recruiting. Can you remember what are the two sources for prospective employees? Who can tell me where we go to look for our employees? Right. Very good. Internal, external. Okay. All right. Chapter 8, diversity in the workforce. So diversity exists in the workplace when its employees differ from one another along one or more dimensions. And if any of you have taken one of my other classes, let's see, what is it? Management, Principles of Management. I think we talked a little bit about diversity in the workplace. So diversity exists in the workplace when the employees differ from one another along one or more dimensions. So here's just 3. This is just 3. Gender, age, and ethnic origin. So some trends today, we've got changing demographics. So that means that we've got more women in the workplace. We've got more minorities in the workplace. There's an awareness of improved workforce quality, hiring and promoting employees regardless of gender, race, or any other characteristics. We've also got legislation now that's forcing organizations to hire more broadly. And we have globalization. U.S. companies with presence in other countries must learn to deal with different customs, social norms, and values. And that's not only with companies that are moving overseas, but that's also companies here. With the globalization, companies in the U.S. have to make sure that they've got a diverse workforce. So diversity management versus equal opportunity. Equal opportunity is more legal in nature. It means treating people fairly and equitably, ensuring those who fall into protected classes are not discriminated against. And then diversity management places an emphasis on recognizing and appreciating differences amongst employees. So the top one, we've got some legal issues that we need to make sure we're complying with. The second one, we've got internal issues that we have to deal with, and mainly that is embracing our diverse workforce and appreciating those employees. So here's some dimensions. We've got age distribution. We've got an aging workforce. Baby boomers are retiring. We've got declining birth rates, which means that we don't have as many people entering the workforce. And we've also got people working longer. Another aspect is gender. Percentage of women in the workplace continues to grow. Pay gaps endure. There's been a lot of publicity lately on pay gaps in the entertainment industry. Have you guys read about that or heard about it? Yeah, they're saying that women and men in the entertainment industry are not getting paid the same, that men are getting paid much more than women that have equitable parts. And I always thought that the entertainment industry was an industry that just did not see those types of things happen, that it's an embracing industry, that it's a fair industry. We also need to consider disabilities as well. There's negative perceptions about disabilities. Mental disabilities are easier to conceal, and you thought it was more about which one was more popular than the other. Yeah, that could be too. You mean the box office draw? Who brings in more money? Yeah. And then we got to consider ethnicity. Here's some emerging dimensions here that companies need to start taking into consideration, or are sexual orientation, religious diversity, single parenting, and different political ideologies. I mean, nowadays employers are going to have to start considering restrooms. I know people have heard the restroom arguments lately. Have you all? I think Target. Who do we have on here that works at Target? Okay. So now Target is implementing restrooms that people who identify with the gender can use. So if we've got a guy that identifies with a female gender, then he can use the female, if I'm understanding it right, and then vice versa. So that is a completely new and emerging dimension that companies need to start considering. So how do we manage diversity? Well, individually, as people, as human beings, we need to be more understanding. We need to have empathy, tolerance. We need to be able to communicate. On an organizational level, our organizations need to embrace equal employment opportunity. They need to respond positively and quickly to problems that arise as a result of diversity. Clear and articulate mission statement that includes a commitment to diversity. Follow practices and procedures that are flexible rather than rigid. Accommodate diversity as much as is fair. Reflect diversity in every aspect of the organization's culture. Implement diversity training. Shape the culture from the top management on down, and make sure that the top management supports and reinforces clear and consistent policies. So the organization has a lot that they need to ensure they're doing, but as individuals, we just need to be decent human beings to others. Okay, so does anybody remember the difference between equal opportunity and diversity management? Which one of those two is the legal parameter? Yes, which one of those? What is the difference between equal opportunity and diversity management? Equal opportunity, right. So equal opportunity is our legal consideration. So does anybody have any questions about diversity? Alois, can you hear me yet? Doesn't look like it. Okay. All right. So Chapter 9, Compensation and Benefits. Who saw Jerry Maguire? Anybody see that movie? Okay. No. Anybody see Jerry Maguire? I avoided it. It's a really cute movie. Anyway, in this scene, Cuba Gooding Jr. is the football player that Jerry Maguire is trying to get a contract for with a professional football team. And in this scene, Cuba's character is saying, "Show me the money," but he's actually screaming it, "Show me the money, Jerry, show me the money." And that's what it gets down to, right? Show me the money. Bottom line. If you get a chance to watch it, you should. It's really cute. It's a cute movie. So compensation. Rewards that an organization provides to individuals in return for performance of various jobs and tasks. Pretty straightforward. Benefits are the ancillary perks that we get. Various rewards, incentives, and other items of value that an organization provides to its employees over and above wages, salaries, and bonuses. So our total compensation is the overall value. You add the compensation plus the benefits, and that gives you the total compensation package. How many of you know how much your benefits are worth every year? Does your company give you a statement? Okay. No? Okay. We give them out every year at open enrollment. You get VA stuff? Okay. Okay. So as a part-time employee, you don't have benefits, Ellie, through your company? Okay. Well, it's always nice to know how much the company is spending on your benefits every year. So fairness and equity in our compensation and benefits. Internal equity, you know, employees talk to each other. How much are you making? Well, I'm making this much, yada, yada. And that can cause some problems. So we need to make sure that everybody is being compensated equally and fairly. Because if we've got internal inequity, that can result in mistrust. External equity, there's comparisons made. For instance, if you are a massage therapist for an organization and you talk to a friend that's a massage therapist at another organization, you guys may compare wages, and that's what that means by external equity. So the challenge is there is it could create turnover, because if you find out that, you know, a massage therapist is making so much more commission in one place than where you are, more than likely you may make a change. I know, it's never anybody's business what I make or what anybody else makes, but some employees do talk, and we cannot legislate that. We cannot have, by law, fair labor standards, and there's another organization eluding me right now that says we cannot prevent people from talking about their salaries or their wages with one another. So, and then pay surveys. Employers learn about compensation rates at other firms by conducting salary or pay surveys, and we do those at my company about once every 5 years. So the difference between wage and salary, and I think this is one of your assignments, or is that the discussion? And that's education. Yeah, assignment 3.2 covers this topic right here. So wage, time-based, all right? So you work 8 hours, you get so much an hour, that's your wage. Employees are paid for specific blocks of time, like hourly, like I just said. They're typically operational level jobs, and they're eligible for extra pay if they work more than 40 hours a week. Now we've got salary, so the compensation on a monthly or annual basis. Employees paid for their overall contributions to the organization's performance and not time. And professional managerial employees typically, most are exempt from overtime provisions. So I want to clear something up because in the past I've seen a lot of responses to the assignment 3.2 where people say salaried employees, even if you miss a day of work or a couple of days of work or a couple of hours of work, you still get paid. That is not true. If the company has you on a salary, they can also have guidelines that say, okay, if you miss more than 2 hours of your shift, then you've got to take 4 hours of your personal time. And if you don't have the personal time, then you won't get paid for it. So they can also have policies and procedures in place that regulate the amount of time a salaried person can miss before they stop, before they're not paid anymore. Does that make sense, or am I rambling? Okay. Does everybody else understand it? Aloy, Sandra, no, Lois can't hear. Andrea, Ellie? Okay. All right, good deal. And I know the overtime laws are about to change, and that's mainly going to affect those people that work in, and it's overtime for salaried people. So there's a threshold that the government has established, and if a manager does not earn, let's just throw out there 40,000. If a manager in a retail or fast food restaurant does not earn 40,000 a year, then he, under the new overtime laws, he or she's going to have to start being paid overtime, because there is no place where they're taking advantage of more than in retail and food industry, where managers work horrible hours and they don't get paid for it because companies hide under the salary provision. So, yeah, I agree, Pamela. It is about time. So some strategic options for compensation. So we need to determine what's the basis for the pay. What are the job functions? Basis for differential pay. For instance, are we going to pay somebody more an hour if they work an undesirable shift? That's called a shift differential. Establish the pay rate. So if a company pays above the market, the advantages are it minimizes turnover and creates superiority. Disadvantages are high labor costs, and those employees start to get a sense of entitlement. So if we've got a company that pays enormous hourly wages, and let's just say like oil and gas is tanking right now. And those people being laid off are being laid off from jobs that pay $25, $30 an hour. They're going to have a hard time finding a job that pays comparable. So if we're an organization, we decide we want to pay at market, then what we can do is supplement with intangible benefits, like maybe gym memberships or daycare discounts or something like that. And the disadvantages, moderate turnover. And if we pay below the market, usually those companies are located where there's high unemployment. You've got low morale and high turnover. That's pretty obvious. And now benefits. Let's talk a little bit about benefits. Rewards, incentives, and other items of value that an organization provides to employees beyond wages. So cost. The cost of benefits is typically about 1/3 of the total cost of employment. So for example, if an employee is earning 30 grand a year, it costs the employer an additional 20,000 a year to cover vacation, mandated benefits, pensions, insurance, etc. So it's very costly. The purpose of benefits: to attract higher quality worker, reduce turnover, and meet employee expectations. And there's two types. We've got mandated types of benefits, which means we have to provide as an organization, and non-mandated. And that's another question that you're going to be asked about in your work this week. So let's talk about mandated. So mandated is required by law. We've got to cover unemployment insurance. We've got to cover Social Security insurance and workers' comp insurance. So those are all mandated benefits by law. Non-mandated or elective benefits are the ones that we enjoy, like our health insurance coverage, wellness programs, paid time off, vacation, holidays, and sick days, private pension plans. So those are all packages or plans, benefits on that right-hand side that a company is not required to provide by law. So keep that in mind, okay? A lot of times there's some confusion between the two. All right, so we've defined total compensation. Does anybody remember what the total compensation is? What plus what equals total compensation? Did I lose you all? You forgot? Ellie, you forgot too? Benefits plus your wage equals your total compensation. Oh my God, I'm terrible. I need to stop doing this if you guys forgot already. Can you name two mandated? There you go. Can you name two mandated benefits? Remember the ones that are required by law? No? That's not a benefit. Mandated, required by law. Unemployment insurance, Social Security insurance, workers' comp insurance. Those are all mandated by law. Overtime pay is not a benefit. Okay, I'm going to have to go through the chapter again. You guys have the time? Okay. All right. So do you remember the advantage to paying over the market wages? Andrea? Haven't heard from you. Very good. Yay. Yes, 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 yes. All right. Benefits to paying above market. Minimize turnover creates superiority. I guess I might have to get better at jiving up these presentations. All right. Does anybody have any questions? That's all right. None? Okay. All righty. Well, I don't need to take roll. I can see who's here. So remember to reach out to me if you have any questions about your work that's due this week, okay? So we'll see you all next week. You too. Bye.